There are three important aspects of a real estate contract that any buyer and seller should certainly be aware of. The three aspects I want to touch on today are property inspections, remedies for default, and riders. So in terms of property inspections, this provision in the contract is really important. First, it gives you the buyer the right to cancel the contract for any reason in your sole discretion. So during this inspection period, if for some reason any study comes back or truly any reason you are not happy with the property, you can go ahead and cancel the contract. You have to give the seller written notice that you want to cancel the contract during this inspection period, and then you will also be able to receive the return of your deposit, and all parties will be released from the contract. So that inspection period is really important, especially as a buyer. And it's not only important to determine your rights to cancel the contract, but it's also important depending on your intent with the property. For example, if you want to build on the property, in addition to a survey, you'll also want to do soil tests or other environmental studies. And this inspection period is the time to have those studies done to make sure if you plan to build on the property that you in fact can build on the property after you get those results from a soil test or the like. The second part of a contract that's really important to know are the remedies for default. If a buyer defaults, the seller may retain the buyer's deposit, or they may enforce the contract in equity. So they may demand specific performance from the buyer. If the seller defaults, the buyer may elect to receive the return of their deposit, and the buyer may recover damages or seek specific performance. These two options, depending on what party you are to a contract, are really important because while a contract may be smooth, you never know when a problem may arise and when these default provisions may come into place. So it's important to know from the beginning what your remedies and possible default provisions will be. And lastly, the last important part of a contract are the riders. These riders give additional rights than those detailed in the contract purchase and sale agreement. Some common riders are seller financing, condominium associations, and post-closing occupancy riders. These riders may give additional rights as to when the buyer or seller may void the contract or otherwise. So it's really important to make sure that those riders are attached to the contract. It's important to know these as a buyer and a seller, and I really encourage you to look through any contract, through every line, just to make sure you know what your rights and obligations are thereunder.